you've got 3 daughters, and with each birth, you went into postpartum and managed to get it back on track despite being surrounded by donuts. You've been a donut person since you were 16 years old?
Yes.
That's insane.
I learned to bring my Shakeology with me, and I just leave a blender at work. So I kind of just set myself up for success that way and plan ahead.
You are proof that preparation can help somebody overcome temptation so that you really can achieve your goals. Hey, and welcome to the BODi Experience. I'm Carl Deichler, CEO of BODi, and today's a fun one. Because if you love donuts and they have in any way derailed your own health and fitness and weight loss objectives, well, then this is for you, because it is time to talk about donuts. So let's bring on the BODi Experience, Mariah Bukowski. Welcome to the BODi Experience, Mariah.
Hi, thank you.
That's awesome. So you're in Wallingford, Connecticut. And I do know that is like you are in Donutville. Like that part of the East Coast corridor is like there's just donuts and donuts and donuts, and then try to find a vegetable. So this is what we got to get right to it. I want to hear about your journey, and I want to hear how you managed to lose. With you've got 3 daughters, and with each birth, you went into postpartum and managed to get it back on track despite being surrounded by donuts. Because my understanding is, reading the notes, you've been doing this. You've been a donut person since you were 16 years old.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. You know what? Before we get into this, what's your favorite donut? Do you have a favorite donut?
Oh, probably glazed cinnamon crumb.
Now, hold on. If you've been doing this since you were 16, you got to think about what is your favorite donut, but it's glazed cinnamon crumb.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what my favorite donut would be. All I know is I'm pretty sugar sensitive, and if I have more than half a donut, I'm kind of angry for the next couple hours. So I try to just a half a donut, I'll have it. But I'll challenge you. I hope maybe you might invent a healthy donut someday. Because for us people who are sugar challenged, we sure would love to have a donut, but a healthy protein, fiber, vegetable donut. I don't know. But anyway, tell me the story. How did you do this, and why did you choose BODi?
So I chose it right after I had my first daughter. I was about 3 months postpartum. I was still working at my father-in-law's donut shop as the manager there. And actually, I wasn't back to work yet because I was just postpartum. And I was trying to go back to the gym because I used to be a gym goer, and I just could not get myself back to the gym. So I stumbled across my coach at the time, her Instagram page, and I saw the opportunity that I could partner and then also work out at home. Um, and I liked the opportunity of partnering, even if it wasn't for income, but just to have something else for me, since I did work with my husband and my father-in-law for their donut shop. I knew if I partnered with the company, it might hold myself more accountable and give me something for me outside of motherhood and the donut shop. And then as far as being able to manage the donuts, I always people sometimes are like, don't you get sick of donuts? No, I still crave them. But I just limit myself. I know if I'm following 2B mindset, I could have a donut here and there if I'm really craving it. And once I track it, I know our donuts are also homemade, so there's no preservatives. And I just feel they're not as heavy or dense as some other places.
Do you have a donut every day?
No, not every day. Probably once a week, maybe. Sometimes
Really?
some seasons I'll go through where I'm better. Well, I won't have a donut all the time, but
Well, wait. once a week is barely all the time.
Yeah.
So you work in a donut shop and you have a donut once a week, or is it like donut day and you end up having like four of them?
No, no. Normally, well, sometimes like even if we have a new donut or something, like I might try a piece of a donut because it's not like I'm buying it. I could just eat a piece or split it with someone. I mean, on average, probably once a week, but there are some weeks where I'll have them two, three times. Other weeks,
Yeah. So how do you manage your cravings? Like, how do you do that? Because I think that would be the challenge, temptation all around you. What do you do?
yeah. Well, so with this third postpartum, I learned to bring my Shakeology with me, and I've actually got a second blender, and I just leave a blender at work. I leave a bag of Shakeology at work. We already have like almond milk. I'll bring fruit. Um, so I kind of just set myself up for success that way and like plan ahead. Um, and then like outside of Shakeology, I'll just bring extra fruits, veggies. We do like egg sandwiches there too, so I know there's always eggs I can like scramble up or make an omelet. So
Yeah, well, you look, I think you've said something that's really insightful there because preparation is such an important part of meal planning or food control, I would say. So you're like this most acute version of being surrounded by everything that could undermine your daily sort of sugar or calorie objective. So you have proven that being proactive about having Shakeology around, a way to prepare it, and alternative foods so that when you're hungry, it's not just this look what's over there in the rack. Like, of all the people that I've ever spoken to, you are proof that preparation can help somebody overcome temptation so that you really can achieve your goals.
yeah.
That's smart. So take me through sort of the process. Three baby girls, three postpartums. How did you navigate that in donut world?
So with my first, it was like right before, or I signed up. I think it was like 2 weeks right before the pandemic. So actually the pandemic, it shut everything down. The donut shop stayed open, but I stayed home with my daughter. Um, so I was able to wake up, do the workouts. I started with the 21-day fix, and that kind of just got me hooked. I like the mindset, all of like Autumn's little messages during it, and that kind of kept me on track. I found that that season was kind of easier for me because I had the one baby at home. I didn't have to go into the donut shop. But then that fall is when my husband and I actually owned or opened up our location. So my father-in-law owns the first location, and then my husband and I opened a second location, and that opened in fall. And I was actually, so I had my first daughter, and then I was pregnant with my second, and that was like a harder season where um, we were like getting the donut shop opened, and I still was making sure to work out during my pregnancy. I was home with two under two. Then we did sign them up for daycare, but then still I wake up in the morning, I would do my workout, send them to daycare, and then either go and work the BODi business or I would go into the donut shop part time. I worked out like my whole second postpartum, got back to like pre baby weight, and then got pregnant with my third. And actually, just this spring, our manager left to go back to college and get a new job. So I actually have been back full time now since April of this year. And that's kind of when I started navigating planning out my meals. I wake up in the morning like 4:45. I get my workout done. The kids normally sleep until 6 if I'm lucky. And then I get them up and ready, make sure my meals are all planned out for the day. If I have to bring any fruit into work, my shakes are already there. Um, and then I'll normally like listen to a podcast or the national wake up call. Any calls that I have, I'll like listen to the recordings in the car on my way to work, and my way home. And then once the kids come home,
Yeah. So what we're used to hearing about. I grew up with these commercials, these Dunkin' Donuts commercials, where the guy was like waking up in the early in the morning, and it was time to make the donuts. But you're getting up 4 a.m. It sounds like, or so, and the first thing you're doing is working out.
Yeah, I'll mix up some my recently since I had to be back to work. I do the hydrate and energize to get me going in the morning, and then yeah, I press play on my workout by like 4:45.
Got it. And what sort of workouts are you gravitating to?
Right now, I'm working on dig deeper, so that's a little bit more challenging for me since it's the 40 to 50 minutes. So that's why I'm trying to wake up or be ready to press play at 4:45, so I'm done by at least 5:30, so I could start prepping the kids' lunches and all of our food for the day. Um, but yeah, I'm liking dig deeper. I know I want to do lava next for a good change of pace from the 45, 50 minutes to go back to the 20 minutes. My oldest is going to start kindergarten in September, so I feel like I have 4 weeks left on dig deeper, and then I'll transition into lava.
Yeah, well, we have the new Sean, I think they're called Sean
Saw
30 or
that.
something, where it's a 30-minute version of Dig Deeper. So that'll help you out there, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so what does your husband think about this body stuff that you get up so early to do, and how you navigate that?
He thinks it's great. I think he sees like it's something for me outside of like motherhood in the donut shop, and it makes me like a better person, a better mom, a better manager at the donut shop. It gives me more patience. He's even tried a few workouts, but he's not as consistent. He always says he'll do it maybe one day.
Yeah, I get that. And how about how do you navigate knowing that, hey, a donut or two a week is manageable, and wanting to help people who maybe you see them every day, and
Mhm.
a donut is their breakfast. How do you navigate that and coexist with that without trying to get in everybody's business?
Yeah. For the customers coming in, I don't really like push that on them, although there are some people that are coming in getting one or two donuts every single day, and we're like, how, like we just feel like it's not our place to say anything to them about their donuts. But I know definitely like some of the other employees that work for us, they see me making the shakes. I've given them samples of them, and like they really like enjoy it, and like I think I motivate some of them even if it's not BODi. I mean, some of the employees actually are in my challenge group, or like I do a free walking group, and a couple of them come to that as well. So that it's definitely helped the employees and the staff have a healthier lifestyle and try to like balance out donuts and a healthier eating. I know sometimes like they'll have competitions like, all right, let's go on like a donut hiatus and not eat a donut for, let's see how long we could go. Um, but I'm always like, well, it's in moderation. You don't want to completely deprive yourself, because then when you do have a donut, you're going to indulge like way more than if you just satisfy your sweet tooth a little bit.
Yeah. And what do you put on social media? I'm just wondering, like, how you balance these things on your social media so that people, understand both what you do and how you've managed to lose weight, the postpartum weight, 3 times.
Social media, I always share like my morning routine, how I'm up super early. I'll share clips of my workouts, and I always get messages of people like, how do you do it? Like, how are you up so early? What time do you go to bed? And I've always just been a morning person. Also working at the donut shop since 16, I've always woke up at like 5 a.m., even as like a high schooler. So people always thought that was weird. And then at night, I just go to bed earlier. But for the donut part, I always say on my, because I also run our Neil's social media, so I'm posting donuts and stuff on there. But I always say I wish or I hope like I try to post more on my personal page of the donut shop, but it's also hard because we're like it's super busy and I don't want to have my phone out in front of the customers. But I try to share a little bit of the donuts and like if I eat a donut or my coffee. Um, but I know I could definitely do better at sharing it all on social media.
Well, I just wondered how that goes because it's an interesting message for people to get, right? And I think that's what's so inspiring about what you do. And you should really leverage that because you can help a lot of customers who they don't think it's possible.
Mhm.
And to see somebody who's surrounded by temptation like that, who's got the motivation and discipline to get up early, do the workouts, and still do all the mom stuff, and yet then not cave to this constant temptation that you're around all day long, and so that you can also lose the weight. I think you can inspire a lot of people with that story. And I'm super grateful that you would share it with me here, and that you would uh, hopefully continue to share it with the people on your social media, the people around you, because this is what people need. Like you said, you don't want it to be about having to deprive yourself of the fun things of life, and but at the same time, the fun things of life are enabled by being healthy, by being fit, by being mobile, by feeling good about yourself, and that I think is the part that people forget or they miss. It's sort of one side or the other side. And I think you've really done a great job, an inspiring job of walking that line, and that's what's so inspirational, and that's why you're the kind of person we like to have on the BODi Experience. So I'm super grateful that you came on today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy I had this opportunity too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Look, if you're like Mariah, you can see that it's that you can be surrounded by the temptation. You can find that you've got no time. This was a former gym goer, but she managed to do it. And what you do is you pick a program. That's why we've got bodypreviews.com, so that you can, in exchange for just your email address, you've got access to over 130 workout videos. It's probably close to $100 worth of content. You get it for free. But that helps you then pick a program, and then one that aligns with your goals and your lifestyle. Like she said, Body Lava, that's 20 minutes with no equipment needed, or Dig Deeper. You can do that, and that's heavy equipment and a bench and 45 to 50 minutes. So you pick the program that fits your goals, and then you go for it. So you can go to bodypreviews.com. You can see which program speaks to you, and also, whether you run a donut shop or a health food shop, if you have a great BODi experience that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. So you can submit your story to @BODi Stories on Instagram, and the team will take a look. And then that's how we find the next great people like Mariah to be on the BODi Experience. So thanks for joining us. Thanks to Mariah Bukowski, and I'll see you next time on the BODi Experience.